Hey there YouTube, I'm Joe. You're watching my channel Ink&Iron, and it is once again time to update my knife collection here in 2020. So yeah, this was one of my most popular videos last year, so I'm really looking forward to grabbing knives out of these drawers over here and showing them off to you. There have been some additions, there have been some changes to old knives, so if you saw that previous video, link in description, you will be interested to see what's been going on. Alright, I've poured myself a beverage and I just want to raise a toast to you. Thank you all for being here. Now let's turn the camera around and get going. So we are going to go in approximate value order. That is low cost knives to higher cost knives. It's not a perfect rule, it's just a rough approximation of how I'm going to grab things. So first up, this would be a gift that I got from my dad. This is a credit card knife. It does fold into something like a serviceable blade. I have never used it as such because there's no way it's good. However, I like the novelty of it and it is very compact. So yeah, I keep it around. Next up, this is an MTech. Hold on, let's deploy this. MTech. This is an MTech knife. It has multiple deployment options. It's sort of a fake out for like a cold steel tie light. Very cheap construction. Very wobbly. The one feature I do like is this nice beefy liner lock pusher. It just makes it super comfortable to close the knife. Got an interesting little knife here. This is the Gerber EAB, stands for Exchange a Blade. These are replaceable utility blades that fit in here. You can open this with a flathead screwdriver, so it's super convenient. And it's an all aluminum body, so you don't have to worry about corrosion. And I can testify to that because I have literally dropped this into horrible things. Vats of acid, buckets full of caustic chemicals. I used to work at a chemical factory, so I know what I'm talking about when I say that this is like zero maintenance and one of the easiest things to carry that I own. So yeah, there you go, Gerber EAB. They still make this model and should be available for under like 15 bucks, so it's great. Next up is a classic knife. Here's the Opinel. This is a French design. This has been working for many decades. This particular one is in stainless, although you can get this in high carbon steel. You can see that basically zero grind. It goes from the spine all the way to the edge as a flat grind, and it makes it an incredibly useful blade. Sorry, you can hear my cat munching in the background there. But it also has this little, I forget what you call this, like a swiveling bolster. Anyway, it locks the knife in place so it can't close on your hand if you are so inclined to use it like that. But yeah, really like the looks of this thing. And mine is the walnut handle, I believe, which is why it's a little darker than some of the others you'll see. Oh boy, here's a good one. This is the Kershaw Barge. This is actually its premiere on the channel because it is a total piece of crap. This is straight out of the box. I have done absolutely nothing to it. Blade centering is okay. We have a huge gap here for this pry tip. The action is not great. Lockup is actually okay, but it's just a steel frame lock and tip down only, and the blade to handle ratio is whack. So maybe there will be a review in the future. Maybe this is all you're going to see of this knife. But yeah, Kershaw Barge. I think I got it for like 11 bucks. Oh, here's one I got as a gift from my girlfriend. This is a Tac Force. I don't remember the model name. I think it's like the Speedster. It is an assisted opening, and it has that sick rainbow anodization. Maybe it's a coating. Not totally sure. Cap lifter and screwdriver on the backside. I haven't actually carried this much because it's more of sentimental value to me at this point. Alright, we have a Gonzo knife. This is the Gonzo G720. It's meant to look like a lion steel knife, which is like 20 times the price. It is absolutely a doorstop. It is so stupid heavy. It does have a surprisingly good action for being just a giant chunk of steel. Yeah, these liners are not milled out at all. It is just G10 slabs, steel slabs, and then a big beefcake of a knife blade. That being said, it does wobble, so it's not a great blade. Yeah, but it's in the collection. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Up next we have a Buck Vantage Select. I have batoned with this knife, so it is totally screwed up now. I sent it back to Buck and they did nothing to repair it. All they did was grind me a new edge, which totally took off the superior blade edge that I had put on it. So yeah, I'm not going to be buying any more Bucks. Okay, up next we have another Gonzo knife. This is one of the Gonzo Firebirds. This blade shape is a ripoff of a ProTech knife, G753. It is a carbon fiber sticker on top of G10. It has a very cool look for a knife that is like in the $20 range. So it's alright. It's a pretty cool entry-level knife. I don't really carry it much though. Here's one of my retired knives. This is a Kershaw CQC 7K. This is an Emerson collaboration, so it does have a wave opener as well as a thumb plate. It is ground on both sides, which is nice, and this Tanto is very good for like scraping things off of surfaces. So yeah, this knife served me well in a chemical job, which is why it has a ton of rust and other stuff with it. So that is why it is retired, and that is why it won't show up much on this channel. Next up, this is my first ever pocket knife. This is a Gerber Profile 2 folding knife. I don't even know if they sell these anymore. No clip, textured rubber grip, and has a ton of blade play because I have really screwed up this knife. I've owned it since I was like 16 and I did horrible things to it. But of course it stays in the collection for the sentimental value. Alright, now we've got a slip joint that was made in Pakistan. This is the old Forged Barlow. This is supposedly like buffalo horn or something. The blade is Damascus, and it is clearly small manufacturer made because yeah, you can see the grind in there is not machine made. There are some not quite cold shuts, but definitely some aberrations between those steel layers. However, I think overall it's pretty good, and I got it for like $12, which is even better. Yeah, definitely handmade, has a pretty cool aesthetic because of that. I think the walk and talk isn't the best. It's very firm, extremely firm, super hard detent. So yeah, maybe I'll try and break this one in, but really I got it more for the visual appeal. Up next, here's my first ever butterfly knife, which is pretty funny if you're a balisong person, because this is pink and it was $11 and it's very low quality and it has no edge on it because I took the edge off. That was like one of the first things I did. Yeah, I'm using this just to learn some moves. I can't really do them around the camera since it's like 4 inches away from this knife. Up next, this is the Steel Will Cut Jack. This is the 3-inch version in the OD green color. This is a super great knife for like $40 as its normal retail, and I managed to get it on Amazon for like 20. So yeah, this is very nice to carry. I polished up the washers and it is just buttery smooth deployment now. So yeah, can't recommend this one enough. Super cool Steel Will Cut Jack. Here's a Kershaw Entropy. Really like this knife design. I think the execution could have been better. Got some colored barrel spacers in there. This is a Todd Rexford design, so if you're a fan of his work, you probably recognize the heritage here. Yeah, I think it's 8CR blade steel. Pretty cheap blade steel. It is assisted opening, so that way you don't have to have a good action. It's just going to fire out anyway. Yeah, my biggest problem is that like this knife is like squishable. Yeah, it has full steel liners with no milling, so I'm not really sure how that worked. Maybe it's the giant space between this spacer and the actual blade pivot. I'm not a knife designer, but yeah, I think this could have been just a little bit stronger. Here's a Crkt Journeyer knife. This is designed by Liang Ma. As you can see, the deployment is just sort of a depression here in the blade. I have sort of modified this finish. I have a video about it in my review of this knife. Really like the lines on this knife, and also that sort of downward angle lets you cut on a surface without bashing your knuckles. So yeah, really great EDC design for somewhere around 20 bucks. Links to all these in the description, of course, as I can find them on Amazon. But yeah, really highly recommended. If this is going to be like a gift knife or something, I think this would be perfect. And it's a very small size, but has a very nice, like, chunky feel in the hand. Very satisfying. If you don't have one of these, you're missing out. This is the, I think it's Taiwanese made. This is called the Lightning. It is a double action out the front knife. So you push up and the blade fires out, and it just says Lightning on there. It is a chisel grind for some reason, so it only has an edge bevel on this side. Not sure why they did that, maybe to save money. But yeah, you can see how this would be fun for you and annoying for all your friends and family. But yeah, for about 35 bucks, I don't think you can go wrong with an out the front Lightning. Super fun, highly recommended, and they come in all these cool colors. Up next, we have a big beefy blade. This is the Spyderco Resilience. You can see the sheer size of this thing. Let me bring in the cut jack, which is a little 3-inch knife. Yeah, this one's like a good 4.5-inch banana looking thing. It is definitely like a budget self-defense tool, honestly, at this size and this price. It's just a big honkin' 8CR 13 MOV Chinese-made Spyderco. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Now we have a Crkt Lck. This is a wonderful, wonderful design collaboration between Crkt and Ruger. If you don't have one of these, you need to go get one. This is absolutely an out-of-the-park EDC, and it's like under 30 bucks. Link in description. But man, the only problem I have with this is the detent ball rattles a little bit in the pocket. That's about it. Flipper tab works great. Sharpening choil works great. Blade profile is great. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. If you've never seen this knife before, I need you to go look it up. And if you got the money, I need you to go buy it. Here's a Bokor Strike automatic knife. However, I have modified mine to no longer be automatic. So you flip this little safety. When it's red, it's able to open, but you have to depress the button. Normally, you would hit it and it would fire out automatically. However, mine is now a button lock, so you can kind of fling it out. It's hard to do around the camera here. I'm trying not to smack into my tripod. But yeah, I much prefer the button lock mechanism, and it works really well. It retains the blade rock solid in the open position, and it also retains it in the closed position, which is pretty nice. So yeah, this is the Desert Warrior pattern with the olive green handles and the copper blade. I think it looks really nice. Okay, up next, the Sog Aegis. This was, boy, back in the day when I was following everything Nut and Fancy said about knives, I went out and got the Sog Aegis, and you know what? He was right about this one. This is a beautiful blade. I think you can still get these for 50-something bucks. They have since updated this design, but man, this blade shape is really great for everyday carry. Honestly, I love it a lot, and I've actually buffed mine, so it's a little extra shiny if you can't tell. Like, we're starting to get a little bit of a mirror effect. Hi. Anyway, really good traction plan. It weighs nothing. The action's really good. The pocket clip is maybe a little too deep, which is why I have a lanyard. I'm really not a lanyard guy, but this knife kind of necessitated one for me. Anyway, yeah, my other problem would be the giant billboarding of the Sog logo on the clip. That's a little bit obnoxious, but overall, I think it's a super useful knife, and if you've never had an assisted opening and you can legally carry one, I'd highly recommend this one. Okay, real steel H6s1. So you can see, whoops, focus, there we go. This is a Lianggang design, made in China. This is 14C28N. We have some very nice design features. We have this little scalloped edging right here to make it more comfortable to disengage the lock. We do, in the open position, have the option to move this frame lock stop up so that we can no longer disengage it. I have used this feature to baton with this knife and it held up just fine. So there you go. The H6s1 from Real Steel. I do recommend it, and it comes in several colors. Up next we have this hog of a knife right here. This is the Cold Steel Talwar. Super aggressive G10. We've got the triad lock on the back. We've got a thumb plate for deployment from the pocket. You can basically wave it, and it is absolutely gigantic. Like, check this out. So let's bring in that Resilience, which was such a big honking knife before. And let's bring in the cut jack, just so you can really see the magnitude of this thing. It is absolutely enormous. Yeah, it is my sketchy situation knife. It's like, well, all right, let me just drop this felony in my pocket. Am I paranoid? Yes. Would I recommend this knife? Yes, I would. It is just super beefy, super awesome. If you don't get this knife, definitely grab a Cold Steel at some point in your life. As a collector, you owe it to yourself. And now for something ridiculously small. This is the Spyderco Man Bug, and this cute little guy is actually in a sprint run steel. There we are. Seki City, and this is the Vitoku 2 Sus 410 version. I got this as a seconds knife. Most of my Spydercos are seconds. You can tell by the notches, by their little deployment holes. But anyway, yeah, this is a fantastic knife for like a keychain, in your little watch pocket on your jeans, if you're throwing it in a purse, or, I mean, heck, you could throw this in a clutch wallet and that would be fine. Anyway, yeah, Spyderco Man Bug, really like this little guy, and really doesn't disturb people out in public. So yeah, that's how I use it. Scaling up from our Man Bug, we have the Dragonfly 2. This was a sprint run in the purple. However, I have used this knife. It is VG10 steel, and I really like it. This is basically my summer shorts carry, because it's really hard to fit a big honkin' knife like, say, the Resilience into a pair of just like regular old shorts. So yeah, I really like the Dragonfly 2 for how carryable it is. And this is also very sheeple friendly. Next up, we have a real winner of a knife for most people. This is the Para 3 lightweight version. So this is a compression lock with plastic handles, and yeah, it weighs nothing. However, I do have a full review of this knife. For me, it's just kind of okay. I'm more going to use it for like size comparisons and as sort of a baseline for EDC performance. It is okay. The base model comes in BD1N, which is an alright steel. Performs very similarly to like a VG10. I think what it really has going for it is the lightweight format, and what it really has going against it is this enormous hump that makes it feel so much bigger in your pocket than it needs to. Alright, tirade over. If you want my full opinion, go watch the video on this Para 3 lightweight. Up next, the Spyderco Chaparral. I think this blade gives the Para 3 a big run for its money, considering it is much more svelte and slim in the pocket. It is lighter, it is slicier, and it is a better blade steel in my opinion. This is CTS XHP. This thing is an absolute razor blade, and if you don't believe me, I shaved with this knife. Link in video description. But for around, geez, I got this at about 93 bucks, I think, back a couple years ago. More than worth it. This is one of the most perfect EDC knives I've ever used. And yeah, can't recommend it enough. Spyderco Chaparral, specifically the lightweight, although these come in a lot of really cool versions. Alright, next up, Spyderco Mannix 2. There's a lot of custom things going on here. I bought some custom scales. I bought a Casey Lynch deep carry clip, and then I actually did the anodizing on this clip. Link to that video in the description as well. I was going for brown, kind of ended up purple. Anyway, this blade is one of the most comfortable knives I've ever put in my hand and used on a daily basis. I actually have two of them, so why don't I just roll in the other one I was going to show you. This is my lightweight Mannix 2 in the Maximet steel. I have acid washed the blade, so it is super dark. You're not just seeing that. Yeah, these are both really fantastic knives at pretty reasonable price point. I think these should be around the same value as like a PM2 at this point. So yeah, Spyderco Manix 2. Really, what sells it for me is this ball lock. I really like flipping them around like that, sort of like a Benchmade axis lock. All right, here's a sleeper pick for you. This is the Spyderco Lil Native. This is a shockingly fun, fidgetable, and comfortable knife to use. I really wasn't expecting it when I found it at the second sale, but they had a whole bunch of them, so me and the boys, we all got ourselves one. 60 bucks as a seconds knife. It's about 160 new. I don't know if I'd pay new price for it, but man, am I glad I have this little thing. I think it's really cool. All right, and there you have it, Spyderco Little Native. Now that you've seen the Little Native, here's my Native 5 in the LC200N steel. That makes this a Spyderco Native 5 Salt. I have custom dyed these handles, link in description, and I've also custom anodized the pocket clip to sort of blend in with this warm color gradient we have. Man, I freaking love this blade. If you don't have a Native 5, I highly recommend it, and I even more recommend it if you get the yellow handled LC200N version. The steel is absolutely corrosion proof. I actually left the blade in there when I dyed this, so it was an acidic solution with dye, and it held up no problem. So there you go. Native 5 lightweight. Get one, get one, get one. All right, here we have a couple of paramilitary 2s. This one has a, what do you call this? Timascus Lynch clip. So this is Casey Lynch again, and he did this amazing clip design. This is on the sort of base model for the paramilitary 2. I did add a glow-in-the-dark backspacer, but yeah, what a great blade design. Super useful. Comes in multiple different steels and handle scales. Like for example, here's they call this Blurple handle scale, but this is S110V. I have reground mine, so it is slimmed down. I even have a wave feature put in, and it is just super smooth, incredibly carryable, and even better with a deep carry clip. I actually have a video about these clips. Link in description. Next up, we're getting really high end here. This is the EDC Forums Mannix 2 XL. And you might be going, what's the difference? Oh, well, it's bigger. It's quite a bit bigger, actually. This is, I think, over a 4-inch blade, technically. And these handle scales actually glow in the dark. I don't know. Oh, yeah, you can see a little bit. You can see through the scales into the liners. So, yeah, I really like the aesthetic of this knife. It was a seconds. You can see the notch here. You can also see why, because it has this big old crack right through the handle scale there. But yeah, what a cool blade. Yeah, I don't carry it that much, considering the handle crack and the fact that it's super smooth. But yeah, it's just as comfortable in the hand as a regular Mannix 2, in my opinion. Now it's time for the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. This wild-looking blade is really cool, honestly. I put on a wave feature from 5x5 Tactical Solutions, link in description. This is an S30V blade, excuse me, and I threw in a deep carry pocket clip, although I might go back to the normal clip, honestly. But man, this blade shape is incredibly useful. This comes to a super fine point for really precise work at the tip. It comes down from a very thick blade stock by means of this hollow grind, so it is just super slicey as far as a big knife goes. Let me get you a quick size comparison with that Mannix 2 again. You can see same size family, very different blade shapes. However, because it's a compression lock, it is just buttery smooth, and yeah, highly recommended Spyderco Yojimbo 2. I really hope they make some sprint runs of this guy. We're getting into real heavy hitters now. This, my friends, is my custom dyed Spyderco Caribbean. This was a customer return knife, so you can see the notch here, which means I got it at the second sale. Someone returned it because there was a little chip out of the blade right here from it contacting the lanyard tube down in the handle scales. I was able to sharpen that out within like 10 minutes, and so I managed to get this knife for 40 bucks at the second sale. I have since dyed the handles, and I have also anodized the pocket clip, although I will probably redo this because this looks pretty muddy, and I think I can get a better result. But yeah, really love this knife. Love the way it looks now. I really didn't like the yellow bee looking aesthetic. So yeah, highly recommended. Spyderco Caribbean. Yeah, I hope they keep making this knife. Next up, believe it or not, this is another seconds knife. Carbon fiber handle scales, subtle red back spacer designed by Alastair Phillips. This is the Spyderco Chaparral, designed to emulate some features found on, I think it was like red-backed spiders, which is why this spacer is the way it is. Really nice blade design. I have used it, which is why it's all gunky. I think I was cutting up an apple most recently. This knife I'm kind of ambiguous about. I've been waiting to do a full review because I'm honestly not sure how I feel about it. Feels good in the hand when it's open, but opening and closing it for me is a pretty uncomfortable experience. Like, you can see how hooked over my hand is to get at that lock bar. I don't know. I definitely think it's gorgeous though, which is why I have it. And the reason this was a seconds knife, if I could bring you in, see that little pit right there? Just right here. That is a small pit in the blade surface, and that disqualified this knife from being a new manufacturer warranted knife. Spyderco has that level of detail when it comes to their quality control, and so yeah, I like to use this as an example of that. Next up, another unbelievable seconds knife. This is the Spyderco Mantra 2. You can see the notch there on the blade spine. These are slab titanium handles. I believe this scratch was here from the factory, which is why it was a seconds. This is M4 steel, super tough. I have not attempted to sharpen it, and this one's actually on loan, so this is not a permanent part of my collection, but I really wanted to throw it in here because I might be anodizing it, so you may see this more on the channel. But yeah, super slim carry. I do like the fact that it's a liner lock flipper. That makes things a little bit easier in my hand. And honestly, this titanium looks really nice. It's like a flat gunmetal finish, and yeah, just feels really nice in the hand. So shout out to Gabe for letting me borrow this guy, and hopefully we can turn it into something really sick. All right, and we have come to the end. The end is this guy right here, the most expensive knife I've ever purchased. And yeah, this is the TRM, that is Three Rivers Manufacturing. This is their Atom model knife. 20 CV blade steel. You can see their very cool Three Rivers logo right there. I have put an O-ring on this thumb stud to make it a little less slippery because they are very highly polished. It is made in the USA, 20 CV steel, as I said, which is an analog of M390 and 204P. This is a red carbon fiber weave handle, and these little torque screws are only holding on the scales. This knife is fully functional without the scales. You can see the nested liners in there. They hide away super well. There is no compressibility to this thing. It is really solid manufacturing. I will say, full disclosure, I did have to send this back to the factory because I developed a wiggle in my thumb studs within like a week of using this knife, and I had not hard used it. I'd only taken it through cardboard and stuff. So yeah, but they were super nice about it, paid for shipping back and forth, and got it all fixed up. And it was the same blade. It wasn't like my Leatherman Free where they sent me a new thing. They gave me the same blade back. As you can see, I continue to fail to open it simply because that thumb stud is so freaking slippery. If I have any critique of this particular knife, it is that. I think they'd be better served doing a G10 thumb stud like the real steel, but that's just kind of my opinion. Yeah, for about 245 bucks all in, I think this knife is really cool. However, I am not totally sure it's worth it. That opinion will be coming when I eventually do the full review of this guy. But yeah, this is definitely the most high-end knife in my collection. And yeah, I haven't really given my full opinion about it, so stay tuned for that. Okay, well, that, people, is the entire collection. We have gone through all of my folding knives. This video did not cover my fixed blades, so that'll be its own video. But I want to thank you for joining me, and thank you for looking at all the crazy things I have in my knife collection. This has been fun to take a look at all my knives, take stock, and I want you to know, if you made it this far in the video, that I will actually be having a knife sale pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. Just trying to make room in my collection at this point. Alright, but anyway, if you liked the video, give it a like. If you disliked it, dislike and tell me why in the comments. If you like other content like fountain pens and EDC gear, I also do that as well, so feel free to subscribe to my channel. I just want to thank you for being here, and if you want more free content, you can check out my Patreon. It is free to join and has bonus content for you. Okay, that's all I've got for you today. I've been Joe, and you've been watching Ink and Iron, and I will catch you on my next video. Bye.